Psychic who predicted 9/11 reveals 2025. Warning for late June. Predictions for 2025. It is not the future that frightens us, but what we refuse to understand in the present. Have you ever heard of the psychic who foresaw the fall of the Twin Towers long before that dark day in 2001? Her name may be unfamiliar to some, but her predictions still send chills down the spine of those who follow her legacy. Known for a vision that eerily matched the events of 9/11, this modern-day prophet has once again captured attention with her warnings for the year 2025, specifically for the last days of June. As we step into an uncertain summer, her forecasts paint a striking picture. Political turmoil rising like a storm, natural disasters igniting fears of irreversible change, and a strange, silent shift in human consciousness already underway. What could it mean? Are we heading toward destruction or transformation? On the journey of wisdom, we explore the heart of these predictions not with fear, but with curiosity and care. This isn't just about what might happen, it's about what it can teach us. Let's uncover the deeper meaning behind the psychic's 2025 warning and how we might walk a wiser path through it. Number 1. Who was Baba Vanga? Baba Vanga, a name that continues to echo through the decades, was born as Vangelia Pandiva Dimitrova on January 31, 1911, in what is now North Macedonia. Despite being born into poverty and receiving little formal education, her life took a mysterious and extraordinary turn that would eventually captivate people across the globe. At the age of 12, she was caught in a violent storm that swept her away and left her severely injured in a field. Following this traumatic event, she began to lose her vision, completely blind. Not long after, but according to many accounts, this loss opened her to something deeper, an ability to foresee events yet to come. What followed was a life filled with both reverence and controversy, as her predictions began to gain attention for their uncanny accuracy. People from every walk of life, from high-ranking politicians to humble farmers, sought her wisdom, hoping to understand the path ahead. Among her most famous predictions were chilling references that seemed to foretell the 9/11 attacks, the Chernobyl disaster, and even the rise of terrorist groups like ISIS. She reportedly spoke of twin giants falling, which many later connected to the fall of the Twin Towers. Whether one believes in the mystical or not, her influence is undeniable. Baba Vanga explained her visions as gifts from spiritual beings, messages shown to her like a film, vivid and symbolic, yet not always straightforward. Her followers believe that her words require thoughtful interpretation, while skeptics argue that her predictions are too vague or only make sense after the fact. Still, what makes her legacy endure is not only the predictions themselves, but the emotional and spiritual impact they've had. Her voice, even posthumously, urges humanity to look inward, to act with kindness, and to reconsider the direction we're heading. As her prophecies continue to circulate, some even pointing to events as recent as late June, 2025 people are reminded of the deep human yearning to understand what lies ahead and how we might better prepare ourselves emotionally and ethically. In modern times, with so much uncertainty around climate, politics and technology, Baba Vanga's warnings serve as more than just predictions. They are a reflection of our collective anxieties and hopes. Whether you take her words as divine insight or historical curiosity, the core message remains relevant. Our actions today shape our tomorrow. Number 2. Key predictions for 2025. 1. War and global conflict. Now, as we step into the middle of 2025, one of her most disturbing prophecies has captured global attention. The prediction of a massive war breaking out in Europe. spiraling into a worldwide crisis with consequences greater than anything we've seen before. She foresaw not just a military conflict, but a clash of ideologies that would shake the foundations of society, causing mass migrations, widespread devastation, and the collapse of long-standing alliances. She reportedly warned, "When Syria falls, expect a great war between the West and the East in the spring. A war that will devastate the West." With Syria still caught in conflict and global powers like the US, Russia, Iran, and Turkey deeply entangled, how far are we really from such a tipping point? Her prophecies didn't stop there. She claimed Russian President Vladimir Putin would rise as a central figure in this upheaval, saying, "All will thaw as if ice." Only one remains untouched: Vladimir's glory, the glory of Russia. Nobody can stop Russia. This bold statement suggests a world where Russia becomes dominant while others falter. Yet, even within that rise, she warned of threats to Putin's life, pointing to possible betrayal or assassination attempts, a forecast that stirs concern, especially after recent attacks in Moscow and growing dissent. If these predictions hold any weight, could this be a moment where history repeats itself or reshapes entirely? But the war she envisioned isn't just fought with guns and bombs. Baba Vanga described a different kind of warfare, where battles rage in cyberspace and across the airwaves. Picture cyber attacks that paralyze national infrastructure, waves of propaganda that divide people, and even the use of biotechnology to engineer new forms of disease. This new age of warfare doesn't require armies to invade. It turns our trust in truth, health, and technology into the battleground. Have we already entered this war without realizing it? If her warnings are even partly true, the stakes are monumental. Humanitarian crises could unfold across Europe. Governments might shift towards authoritarianism in a desperate grasp for control, and powerful alliances like NATO or the EU might fracture under pressure. Entire borders could be redrawn, and the balance of global power might change in ways we can't yet imagine. But whether we take these prophecies as literal warnings or symbolic truths, the question remains: are we preparing for peace, or are we marching blindly into chaos? In reflecting on all of this, the true lesson might not be in fearing the future, but in how we choose to respond to uncertainty. Are we fostering compassion in the face of division? Are we choosing truth over manipulation? In a world where war could be fought with words, codes, and fear, perhaps our greatest power lies in the peace we build within ourselves and extend to others. Let us not be consumed by doom, but be inspired to act with mindfulness and care. What small step can you take today to nurture peace in your corner of the world? 2. Geopolitical shifts. Baba Vanga's predictions for 2025 go beyond war. They point to seismic changes in the global political landscape, involving the decline of traditional world powers, the rise of new alliances, and a major realignment of international influence. These shifts could reshape how nations interact, cooperate, and compete on the world stage. It's not only about who holds the strongest army or the biggest economy anymore. According to these prophecies, traditional powers, especially those in the West, like the United States and leading European nations, might begin to see their influence wane. Imagine a world where political gridlock, economic uncertainty, rising debt, and the erosion of public trust begin to dissolve the very structures that once commanded global authority. How does a nation maintain power when its people no longer believe in it? As this old order begins to crack, new forces rise, not necessarily just nations, but ideas, alliances, and even technologies. You might ask, who steps in when giants fall? Emerging coalitions driven by shared goals, climate responsibility, technological innovation, or resistance to dominant ideologies could redefine how countries relate. Eastern nations like China, Russia, or Iran might forge stronger bonds. Meanwhile, democracies such as India and Brazil could lead with renewed purpose. Even powerful corporations and AI-driven entities might begin to shape diplomacy and decision-making, challenging the very idea of nation-states. In times of turbulence, internal unrest becomes inevitable. Baba Vanga foresaw not just global change, but domestic crises, protests erupting over injustice, governments falling under the weight of corruption, military coups reshaping nations overnight. Could it be that what we see as chaos is actually the soil for something new to grow? Out of clutter, find simplicity, said Albert Einstein, echoing the timeless Buddhist truth. Chaos is inherent in all compounded things. Strive on with diligence. So, amid this upheaval, new leaders will rise. Some may inspire hope with their compassion and vision. Others may grip power through fear and control. These individuals will play pivotal roles in guiding or dividing the path of our future. Will they honor human rights or rewrite them? Will they serve the people or bend them to serve a vision? Their choices could define the ethics of artificial intelligence, the shape of climate action, and the future of peace itself. So I ask you, how do we prepare not just as observers, but as active participants in this shifting world? How do we stay grounded, stay wise, and stay kind? The Buddha once said, "Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life." In facing this predicted transformation, we must light our own internal candle, staying mindful, compassionate, and committed to the well-being of all. Because even if we can't control the future, we can shape our response to it. If you've watched up to this point, you're already tuned into the deeper truths shaping our world. Comment below with "awakened vision" to show you're ready to face what lies ahead. Don't click away, there's more to uncover. Stay until the end to hear the full message behind the Psychic's 2025 warning. It might just change how you see everything. 3. Economic collapse. According to followers of the mystic Baba Vanga, the year 2025 could mark the beginning of a severe global economic collapsion, so profound that it could mirror or even surpass the 2008 financial crisis or the Great Depression. This isn't just about numbers on a screen or falling stock markets. It's about how everyday people, working families, retirees, small business owners might suddenly find their lives turned upside down. With major financial institutions at risk of collapse and several countries facing potential default on their debts, the fabric of global finance may be stretched to a breaking point. And as history has shown us, when money loses value and trust in systems erodes, social order can start to fray. In such a scenario, nations around the world would have no choice but to confront deep-rooted issues like economic inequality, political corruption, and the cracks within their own governing structures. One of the first symptoms of this collapse, Vanga reportedly predicted, is hyperinflation, especially devastating in regions already struggling economically. Countries in Latin America, like Argentina and Venezuela, are said to be among the hardest hit, with their currencies potentially becoming nearly worthless. When a loaf of bread costs a week's wages and medicine becomes unaffordable, it doesn't take long for desperation to spread. And it's not just these nations at risk. Even developed countries could see the shockwaves. With supply chains breaking down, goods becoming scarce, and global currencies losing trust, everyday essentials might become luxuries. Imagine going to a grocery store and seeing half-empty shelves, or watching your savings lose value overnight. This is the emotional toll of an economic collapse, not just the financial. Unemployment, too, is expected to surge globally, particularly in vulnerable sectors like retail, hospitality, tourism, and manufacturing. This won't just impact individual workers, it will ripple through communities, hollowing out the middle class and deepening the chasm between rich and poor. And when people feel ignored, overworked, and underpaid, frustration builds. Social unrest becomes more than just likely, it becomes inevitable. Already, we're witnessing protests in countries like France and Argentina, where inflation and inequality are driving citizens to demand change. These movements may grow, turning into strikes, mass demonstrations, or even revolutions if governments fail to respond with fairness and compassion. People will no longer be satisfied with surface-level reforms. They will demand systemic change, including ideas like universal basic income or stronger protections for workers and vulnerable populations. And perhaps this is where the deeper message of Baba Vanga's vision lies, not in fear, but in opportunity. Out of destruction often comes transformation. As capitalism is tested, people may start to explore new models. Digital currencies issued by central banks, decentralized financial systems that remove power from a few and give it to many, or economies that prioritize sustainability and human well-being over profit. These aren't just science fiction ideas anymore. They are real conversations happening in boardrooms and parliament chambers around the world. As the world stands on the edge of potential upheaval, the question becomes, will we cling to old systems that no longer serve us, or will we embrace change with mindfulness and unity? In times of uncertainty, it's vital not to panic, but to prepare not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually. By focusing on what we can control, how we spend, how we support one another, and how we stay grounded, we can navigate hardship with resilience. This is a call not just to survive, but to awaken. So take heart. Let this be a time where we choose compassion over fear, cooperation over conflict, and wisdom over reaction. The storm may come, but how we face it will define what comes after. 4. Medical and scientific advancements. Let's take a moment to step into a part of Baba Vanga's 2025 predictions that, unlike the usual talk of chaos or catastrophe, shines a hopeful light on what might be waiting just around the corner. She envisioned a future where science and medicine break through boundaries we once thought were impossible. Picture a world where organs can be grown from your own cells, where diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer no longer carry the same fear, and where even human reproduction takes a radical turn through scientific advancement. It's not science fiction anymore, it's what researchers across the globe are racing toward, and according to Vanga, we're incredibly close. Now, think about this. What would it mean for humanity if we could replace a failing heart with one grown just for us? If a loved one's memory could be restored from the grip of Alzheimer's, or if every child had a healthy start in life, thanks to groundbreaking fertility technologies. Let's start with one of the most exciting possibilities: lab-grown organs. These aren't organs made of plastic or metal, but real, living tissue created from a person's own cells. This means no more waiting on transplant lists, no more fears of rejection, and no more watching time run out for someone you love. The global shortage of organ donors might become a thing of the past. Wouldn't it be life-changing to know that help is no longer limited by supply, but only by technology and time? Scientists are already growing skin, bladders, and even heart tissue. If this becomes mainstream by 2025, as Baba Vanga predicted, it could truly transform the medical world. Now consider this: what if we could cure diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer? Baba Vanga pointed to this possibility too, and today, science is echoing her foresight. Breakthroughs in immunotherapy, gene editing tools like CRISPR, and personalized medicine are rapidly evolving. Just recently, Russian scientists hinted at a cancer vaccine that could change everything. The idea that we might one day erase the suffering caused by these diseases is no longer wishful thinking. It's becoming part of our reality. Can you imagine the ripple effects this would have on families, healthcare systems, and the aging population? But not all breakthroughs come without questions. One of Baba Vanga's more controversial predictions involves babies born entirely in labs, with parents potentially choosing traits like eye color, intelligence, and even personality. It raises a profound question for all of us. Just because we can, does that mean we should? These designer babies, while offering hope to those struggling with infertility or genetic disorders, also open doors to ethical challenges we've never had to face before, like genetic inequality and the loss of natural human diversity. Where do we draw the line between helping and harming? All these possibilities force us to rethink not just medicine, but what it means to be human. If we can prevent disease before it starts, replace organs like car parts, or engineer traits in children, how does that reshape our understanding of life, death, and family? Baba Vanga's predictions, whether you believe in them or not, lead us to one undeniable truth. The future of health isn't just about curing illness. It's about how we balance compassion, technology, and ethics as we create a new world together. So, what kind of future do you want to see? How do we ensure these powerful tools uplift humanity rather than divide it? That's the heart of the lesson. Progress without wisdom can lead us astray, but progress guided by care, equality, and compassion might just heal not only bodies, but societies too. 5. Technology and quantum computing. Let's talk about something that sounds like science fiction, but is becoming more and more real: everyday quantum computing, the digital revolution, and a strange but compelling prophecy from the late Baba Vanga. Now, this isn't your typical talk about tech. Baba Vanga shared warnings for 2025 that point toward a future full of innovation but also full of potential danger. She described a world where quantum computing takes the lead in changing nearly every aspect of our lives. This isn't just faster internet or smarter phones. We're talking about machines that don't think in ones and zeros like today's computers. These new computers use something called qubits, which allows them to exist in multiple states at once. That's like being in many places at the same time, and that changes everything. In finance, quantum computing could detect fraud in real time and carry out trades faster than any human can blink. In medicine, it might help us simulate molecules and design new drugs perfectly tailored for each person. Even artificial intelligence could leap ahead, learning faster and making more accurate decisions. Governments and tech giants are pouring billions into this, and by late June of 2025, Baba Vanga suggested, we might already start to see quantum computing enter our daily lives in subtle but powerful ways. But before we get swept away by excitement, her warnings grow even louder. She believed that while technology can liberate, it can also enslave. Combined with AI, facial recognition, and advanced surveillance, quantum tech could give authoritarian powers tools to manipulate people in ways we've never seen before. It could blur the line between reality and illusion, creating a world so dependent on artificial systems that we start losing touch with what it means to be human. Think of a society where everything is connected, tracked, and monitored not for your safety, but for control. And here's where things take an eerie turn. Baba Vanga connected this to a deeper, even spiritual issue, the rise of a cashless world. She warned that as we embrace digital wallets, implantable microchips, and central bank digital currencies, we might be entering a system where every transaction, every movement is watched. To some, this feels like prophesy, so-called mark, that must be accepted to buy or sell, as described in ancient texts. It's a shift that raises tough ethical and spiritual questions. Are we trading freedom for convenience? And who has the power to deny us access if we don't comply? So, where does that leave us? Baba Vanga's vision is not necessarily a prediction written in stone, but it does ask us to pause and look closer at the direction we're heading. Are we using technology to enhance our humanity, or are we allowing it to redefine who we are? As we move toward a more connected and digitized future, we need to keep asking the questions that matter. Who's in control? Who truly benefits? And what parts of ourselves are we at risk of losing in the name of progress? You've just scratched the surface of a revelation that could shape your future. Type June Awakening in the comments if you're ready to explore the truth behind this 2025 warning. Keep watching. What's coming next may be the sign you've been waiting for. 6. Climate and natural disasters. Have you ever wondered what the future might look like if we continue down our current path? Baba Vanga gave chilling insights into what may await us in 2025, and her visions about the climate are especially hard to ignore. According to her prophecies, our world is reaching a breaking point where the combined forces of climate change and human neglect trigger a cascade of natural disasters that threaten not just the environment, but the very structure of our societies. Let's take a closer look at these powerful predictions, not with fear, but with a sense of responsibility and clarity. She warned of wildfires that would no longer be seasonal or isolated, but fierce and frequent, devouring entire landscapes across continents. These aren't just fires, they're symptoms of a larger crisis. Long droughts, relentless heat waves, and poor forest management are turning vast areas into fuel for unstoppable blazes. Places like southern Europe, California, Australia, and parts of South America are already seeing the early signs. Could it be that these fires are no longer just natural disasters, but warning echoes of a planet in distress? When fire crews can no longer keep up and entire ecosystems vanish in smoke, we are called to reflect. What have we done, and what can we still do? But it doesn't stop at fire. Baba Vanga also saw a world where water, the very essence of life, becomes scarce. Cities once built around abundant rivers and lakes might soon face day zero, the moment when no water comes out of the tap. Droughts aren't just about dry soil. They mean food shortages, higher prices, and migrations that reshape nations. Farms without irrigation lead to empty markets. When people move in search of survival, what happens to the communities they leave behind and the ones they enter? Conflict, cooperation, or collapse? These are not just future possibilities, they're moral and practical questions we must face together. And then there's Europe. Her prediction of a shrinking European population might not be caused by war or disease alone. Climate stress could silently push people away from entire regions. Coastal cities could disappear under rising seas. Farmland might become deserts. When you add low birth rates and economic instability to that equation, the pressure becomes intense. Skilled workers might leave, governments may struggle to maintain services, and political divisions could grow. How do we hold compassion for climate refugees while preserving social harmony? How do we balance environmental limits with human dignity? Baba Vanga's messages might sound mysterious, but when we look around, the science backs her up. The storms are stronger, the seasons are shifting, glaciers are vanishing, our food chains are fragile. Nature is not attacking you, it's responding. Her prophecies are not doom, they are direction, a call to awaken, a reminder that we are not separate from the earth but deeply connected to it. So ask yourself, what kind of world do we want to leave for those who come after us? Are we choosing convenience over care, or are we willing to change before change is forced upon us? The lesson here is clear. The real danger isn't in the prophecy, it's in ignoring the signs all around us. Baba Vanga's vision is a spiritual mirror, showing us the path we're on and inviting us to walk a different one. A path where we value water like gold, forests like temples, and the earth not as a resource, but as our shared home. It's not too late to shift, but time, as her vision suggests, may not be on our side forever. Let's choose wisely starting now. 7. Pandemics and biological threats. Let's talk about one of the most unsettling yet crucial predictions made by the famous mystic Baba Vanga that feels especially relevant today. She foresaw a future where the world faces new and terrifying pandemics, not just from nature but also from the hands of humankind. Now, what does that really mean for us? Well, imagine waking up to news of a mysterious virus, something unknown to modern medicine, spreading faster than anyone can contain it. According to Baba Vanga's visions, this scenario might not just be possible, it could be imminent. She warned of ancient viruses buried deep in frozen landscapes, like Siberia and the Arctic, being released as the planet warms. This isn't just a spooky story. Scientists have already discovered ancient microbes, thousands of years old, in melting permafrost. Our immune systems have never encountered these life forms before. What happens when the Earth's icy vaults, locked for millennia, suddenly open? But it doesn't stop there. Let's go a step further. Baba Vanga also spoke of dangers crafted by human hands, biological weapons, and experimental viruses that escape control. Can you imagine a world where a genetically modified virus is used in warfare or released accidentally from a high-security lab? It's not science fiction anymore. With today's rapid advancements in genetic engineering and tools like CRISPR, creating viruses that are more contagious, more deadly, or even resistant to treatments is now within human capability. And while international laws exist to prevent the development of these weapons, how well are they really enforced? What if secrecy, power struggles, or even desperation lead to bio-experiments that go too far? Ask yourself, how ready are we for such a scenario? If a new virus were to spread globally we've never seen before, how would we cope? Would our hospitals be overwhelmed again? Would countries shut their borders, people panic, economies crash, and trust in institutions fall apart like we saw during COVID-19, but on an even bigger scale? These are not just scary possibilities, they are wake-up calls. Baba Vanga's prophecies weren't just about doom, they were also warnings, messages calling us to prepare. She reminded us that the next global crisis may not come from a natural disaster or war, but from something invisible, a pathogen with the power to change everything. So, what can we do? The message is clear. We need stronger global health systems, more research into disease detection, stricter oversight on genetic experimentation, and above all, cooperation across borders. Are we investing enough in prevention, or are we still reacting only when it's too late? And maybe the most important question is, how can we, as individuals and as a society, stay alert without living in fear? The future may be uncertain, but with awareness and action, we can shape it. Are we ready to rise to the challenge before the next wave begins? 8. Extraterrestrials and cosmic events. One of the most intriguing yet unsettling prophecies attributed to Baba Vanga revolves around the mysteries of space foretelling, not only encounters with extraterrestrial life, but also powerful cosmic events that could redefine our place in the universe. While these predictions may seem far-fetched at first glance, they reflect a deeper truth. Humanity has always looked to the stars with wonder and a lingering sense of both hope and caution. As scientific exploration continues to push the boundaries of what's possible, the lines between myth, vision, and reality grow increasingly blurred. Baba Vanga reportedly foresaw a scenario in which alien beings could arrive via what appears to be a natural object, such as an asteroid, yet is intentionally guided or even inhabited. This isn't just science fiction, it's a warning that such a moment, if it were to happen, could test humanity's unity, values, and ability to respond to a completely foreign intelligence. Would we meet such a presence with fear, curiosity, or hostility? These are the questions her visions provoke, and in an age where NASA and SETI are actively scanning for signs of life beyond Earth, they're questions that no longer seem so distant. She also spoke of space exploration intensifying by 2028, with specific missions to Venus, in search of alternative energy sources, a prediction that mirrors current plans by space agencies preparing to unlock the secrets of this inhospitable planet. Even Mercury, long considered a lifeless rock, is being studied for clues that could support energy harvesting and mining of rare materials. Her visions tie into a growing modern awareness. Earth's resources are finite, and our survival may one day depend on what lies beyond. In another startling prediction, she warned of a supernova or cosmic explosion, an event capable of damaging Earth's atmosphere and disrupting everything from our climate to our technology. Scientists confirm that while rare, such cosmic events are not impossible and could indeed affect life here profoundly. These celestial upheavals remind us how fragile life on Earth truly is and how small we are in the vast universe. Interestingly, her visions do not paint extraterrestrial contact solely as a threat. She also foresaw peaceful forms of communication through signals, microbial life, or ancient alien technologies, suggesting that the universe may be filled with intelligences at different stages of evolution. This opens a fascinating doorway for reflection. If we are not alone, what does that mean for our religions, philosophies, and collective purpose? Would we come together as one human family or fracture further? As technology like the James Webb Space Telescope continues searching for biosignatures on distant exoplanets, the possibility of finding life elsewhere becomes less of a fantasy and more of a real consideration. The emotional weight of such discoveries could be immense, altering how we perceive not just the universe, but ourselves. In today's fast-paced, often divided world, Baba Vanga's visions urge us to stay humble, curious, and above all, united. Whether these predictions come to pass or not, they serve as a reminder. Our fate is intertwined with the cosmos, and in looking outward, we must also look inward, fostering peace, responsibility, and a deep respect for life in all its forms. Still watching? That means you're sensing there's more to this world than meets the eye. Comment, truth unfolds, if you're open to the possibilities this 2025 prediction reveals. Don't miss what's next. Every second holds a piece of the puzzle. 9. Nuclear catastrophe. There's a chilling prophecy from Baba Vanga that continues to echo across generations, a warning not rooted in fantasy, but in a sobering possibility. A nuclear catastrophe so massive that it could scar not just the Earth, but the very spirit of humanity. She foresaw an event where the destructive force of nuclear energy, whether released by intention or mistake, could reshape the world as we know it. Can you imagine what it would mean if a single act could alter the balance of power, poison the environment, and threaten the very future of life itself? Baba Vanga didn't name a date or place, but her vision spoke of an explosion, whether by war, accident, or terror, that could leave a legacy of suffering stretching for generations. Think of the tensions we see today between global superpowers like the US and China, or ongoing rivalries like that of India and Pakistan. A conflict ignited in any of these regions, or a terrorist's hand on a stolen device, could unleash devastation on a scale that words struggle to contain. And what if it's not a war, but a failure, like a neglected nuclear reactor or a cyber attack that triggers a meltdown? The aftermath wouldn't just be smoke and a sheet, would change the way nations see each other, eroding alliances, sparking fear, and leading to rapid militarization. Would we come together to push for disarmament, or drift further apart into suspicion and secrecy? treaties meant to keep peace, like the Non-Proliferation Treaty, might be torn apart under the weight of distrust. And it's not just politics our planet would bleed too. Radioactive fallout can render cities lifeless for centuries, contaminate the oceans, and plunge global agriculture into chaos. Could we survive a world where food withers, where the sun itself is hidden behind the clouds of war? And what of you ordinary people? A nuclear disaster isn't just a statistic. It's mothers and fathers, children and elders, losing their homes, their health, and their hope. Imagine entire regions suffering genetic damage, facing generations of illness and psychological trauma. Infrastructure would crumble, food and medicine would vanish, and fear would fuel unrest and migration on a massive scale. Even those far from ground zero would feel the ripple economically, emotionally, spiritually. Baba Vanga's vision wasn't just a prediction. It was a mirror held up to show us what might come if we continue down this path of division and destruction. So what does this mean for us today? Her warning isn't meant to scare us into silence. It's a wake-up call to lead with compassion, not conflict. What would happen if we truly valued peace over power? If we focused on healing the world rather than harming it? Maybe her message isn't about doom, but about choice. The nuclear threat remains real not just in missiles or bombs, but in our daily decisions as individuals and nations. As we face the pressures of modern life, this prophecy asks us, are we moving toward understanding or away from it? Are we building a future worth passing on, one we may not survive? The lesson here is simple, yet profound. The tools to destroy the world are already in our hands, but so are the tools to protect it. Let Baba Vanga's vision serve not as a sentence, but as a question we must all answer. Will we be caretakers of the earth and each other, or witnesses to our own undoing? 10. Information warfare. Have you ever wondered if the next great war might not involve soldiers or bombs, but instead words, images, and ideas that quietly reshape how we think and what we believe? Baba Vanga warned of something most people still struggle to see: a war not fought on battlefields, but in the unseen realm of information. She foresaw a future where the greatest conflict wouldn't be Visiblino tanks rolling down the street, no sirens, but instead would unfold silently in the data we consume, the headlines we read, the posts we scroll past, and even in the thoughts we accept as our own. This new form of warfare, known as information warfare, is already here, shaping our daily lives in subtle but profound ways. So ask yourself, how often do you question what you see online? Do you ever wonder who's really behind the stories that stir outrage, fear, or doubt? Information warfare uses digital tools, social media, fake news, hacking, surveillance, and even AI-generated videos to manipulate how people feel, think, and act. It's not about taking land anymore. It's about taking minds. Through disinformation, cyber attacks, and social media manipulation, individuals and entire nations can be destabilized without a single bullet being fired. Just think of how misinformation during the COVID-19 pandemic spread confusion, division, and fear around the world, or how online conspiracies have eroded trust in elections and science. Isn't it troubling that what we believe can be shaped by someone we don't even know, working behind the scenes, possibly in another country? What happens when we can't tell what's true anymore? The danger lies not just in the lies, but in how they divide us. These tactics break down civil conversation, make people question experts and institutions, and stir up anger and extremism. And it's not just governments doing this sometimes, it's private companies or even individuals with access to powerful tools. Technologies like AI and deepfakes are now so advanced that they can create fake videos of people saying things they never said. Can you imagine being framed for something you didn't do, with video proof that looks completely real? Who would you trust then? The battlefield has shifted from land to the mind, from bullets to belief. In this landscape, our greatest defense isn't a weapon, it's our awareness. It's the courage to ask, is this true, before we react. Baba Vanga's warning wasn't just about the future, it's about right now. So the question becomes, are we prepared to defend ourselves not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, in a world where truth itself can be weaponized? Are we training ourselves and our communities to think critically, question wisely, and protect the integrity of our minds? Let's not wait until the damage is done. Let's be the kind of people who choose clarity over chaos, understanding over division, because in this invisible war, being awake might just be our greatest strength. 11. Artificial life and body enhancements. Baba Vanga's vision of artificial life and advanced body enhancements stands as one of her most profound and thought-provoking predictions, one that today seems less like fantasy and more like the trajectory we're actively heading towards. In her foresight, she spoke of artificial human beings, not born of wombs but assembled in laboratories, designed with synthetic tissue, powered by artificial intelligence, and capable of mimicking or even surpassing human emotion and intelligence. This future, which once felt like the realm of science fiction, now resonates with current breakthroughs in AI, robotics, and biotechnology. Machines with personalities, humanoid workers who never tire, or digital minds engineered for leadership, this isn't a distant dream, it's a question of how soon. These artificial beings could be built not just for utility, but for companionship, care, and even command, blurring the line between human and machine. Alongside this, Baba Vanga warned of the rise of human enhancement, where limbs are not just replaced but improved, organs are grown in labs, and neural implants allow communication without speaking. People today already walk with bionic legs, feel with synthetic skin, and navigate with prosthetics that respond to brain signals. Technologies like CRISPR are reshaping what's possible in gene editing, even raising the possibility of upgrading unborn children. This all leads to an unsettling but necessary reflection. If we can enhance bodies, store memories, or potentially live longer through machines, what happens to the soul, the spirit, the shared essence of being human? If only the rich can afford these advancements, are we creating a new social divide where humanity itself becomes tiered? As our world becomes more interconnected with machines, Baba Vanga's prophecy reads not only as a roadmap of innovation, but also as a spiritual checkpoint. It asks us to slow down, reflect deeply, and ask the harder questions. Are we choosing progress with compassion, or simply racing forward without thinking of the cost? In our pursuit of longer life or smarter minds, we must not lose sight of what makes life meaningful: connection, kindness, and balance. As we stand on the threshold of creating life from code and circuits, let us also nurture the human heart, because in the end, the technology we build will mirror not just our intelligence, but our values. 12. A child who brings peace. Amidst the troubling forecasts of wars, disasters, and turmoil, one of Baba Vanga's rare and radiant predictions offers a breath of hope. Vision of a child born on January 5, 2025, destined not to conquer nations, but to awaken hearts. This child, she foresaw, would be unlike any other, arriving in a world riddled with chaos, yet carrying within a light so bright it could guide humanity toward healing. Said to possess deep spiritual wisdom from a young age, this child would feel the pain of the world as if it were their own, and with that sensitivity would come a powerful ability to connect, to soothe, and to unify. Not bound by religion, race, or nation, this future leader would speak the language of the Sula, language of peace, love, and truth, and in doing so, rise not through force, but through the trust and admiration of people seeking a new way forward. As the world teeters under the weight of division, violence, and environmental exhaustion, the arrival of such a figure symbolizes a turning point, a quiet but powerful reminder that even in the darkest times, light still finds a way in. This child's journey would be slow at first, much like the early whispers of spring after a long winter. But as more people began to open their hearts, the momentum would build. Supporters of the prophecy liken this soul to Jesus, Buddha, or even modern peacemakers like Gandhi and Mother Teresa, figures who didn't demand attention, but who earned reverence through presence, service, and the clarity of their moral compass. What makes this vision particularly striking is its specificity, a rare, concrete date offered in Baba Vanga's otherwise enigmatic collection of insights. Whether this prophecy manifests literally or is meant to reflect the rise of a movement, its deeper meaning holds strong relevance. That true change doesn't begin with governments or technology, but with an awakened heart, a compassionate voice, and a steady hand that chooses to guide, not dominate. And in today's world where many feel more disconnected, anxious, and unheard than ever, this message is more than mysticism. It's a call to action. Each of us can embody that same spirit in small ways, by listening more, judging less, standing for kindness in our daily lives, and believing that peace isn't just possible, it's waiting for each of us to choose it, one moment, one choice, one breath at a time. No matter how mysterious or chilling these predictions may sound, perhaps their true power lies not in forecasting doom, but in urging us to live more mindfully today. Whether or not Baba Vanga's visions for 2025 come true, they remind us that the future is not written in stone. It is shaped by our choices, our compassion, and our willingness to learn. So, what kind of future will you help create? If you found value in this journey, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others who seek understanding, and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming insights into ancient teachings and modern truths. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and walk wisely.